you are just joining us on Facebook Live, I am Lauren Van Hemert from RDU on Stage, and I am hanging out tonight with one of my favorite people, Mikki. I'm just going to call you Mikki because I don't know where we're streaming. So I know you just first name. You're like just Cher, just Madonna, just Mikki.
Simply Mickey. Man, this watch party is not happening for me. That's what I'm doing, everyone. I'm trying to get this watch party going.
It's all good. So to give you, while we're setting up watch parties, I'll give people a little background, but I was finding myself inundated with requests for people to have me help them with their Zoom and their Facebook and their Zoom and their YouTube streaming, mostly Facebook streaming, because that's what I've been doing most of. And it was getting to a point where I was focusing on everybody else's streams and not my own. And these take a lot of prep time. So Mikki and I had a conversation about it. And it turns out that Mikki actually knows what she's doing, where I'm just kind of faking it really well. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. If you have questions, I know there's a lot of questions about live streaming, put them in the Facebook chat on RDU on Stage, and I will try to get to them. And then, of course, all of Mikki's contact information, website information will be in the links that's posted after this is done. So, how are you doing, Mikki?
And pretty swell. Thanks for asking. I mean, it's oh no, I do not need to watch my own watch party though. That'll make the sound weird.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, don't do that.
mute it. To hear my own voice. This still happens to me. I hear my own voice and I'm like, oh no. But I'm doing pretty good. It's been obviously like Women's Theater Festival just wrapped, which is a huge like live streaming endeavor in general. And I've just been like right back at it with talking to people with live streaming and preparing to teach my streaming for artists boot camp. So I mean, streaming is going great. That's
Streaming it well, and you actually like doing it where I only like doing it because I get to connect with people. I get to talk to people like you live on Zoom, and actually see people. But other than that, I don't know that it's my favorite thing to do.
I am
So,
obsessed with streaming, so I understand.
yes. See, Mikki enjoys streaming. This is why you should go to her if you have questions. I will tell you not to do it. She'll actually help you do it. um, so, prior to COVID, I have a son and a daughter, and my son is big into gaming. So prior to COVID, when I would think about live streaming or I would think about Twitch, especially, I was thinking about my son, his friends who were gamers, game captures, all of this equipment he had hooked up to his computer so he could take video captures of his of while he was gaming. So, can you talk to me about prior to COVID, how live streaming was used and how you got into it?
Oh my gosh, 100%. So, just so everybody knows, Twitch was originally Justin TV, and that site launched in 2011. Then it would later become Twitch Interactive, and then it was bought by Amazon. So, that's like when it really started taking off, right? And I have been a gamer for a good majority of my life. I'm trying to figure out when I first heard about Twitch. It was probably like 2014, 2015, something like that. And I was not into it when I first saw it, mainly because I didn't find it very engaging. I found it super awkward, very cringy, so funny, almost like that's exactly what people say about TikTok now, because now TikTok's the new thing. Twitch is, almost like commonplace now. But I really became into Twitch just a few years ago, like 2018, because the thing that I realized was that it was a really great opportunity for artists. So, like for me, that's like sewing or even just like painting. because that time that you spend like sewing, you're just sitting there, right? You're just sewing along. You're not doing anything. And then like you sell the end product. Well, what if instead you are utilizing that time that you're just sitting there sewing to talk to your friends, to make new connections? And then if somebody wants to throw you something, that's super awesome, but you're just like monetizing a different part of your overall artistic process. And then, I mean, of course, Lauren, I know we've talked about this before, but the other part that I was obsessed with was like, oh my gosh. And then after that, you take the video from that stream, you put that up on YouTube, you go ahead and get it that way. Ooh, was there like a really tight section of audio in there? Take that, turn it into a podcast. Anyway, so I fell in love with streaming because of that. And then let's see, in September 2018, I started the Raleigh Community Meetup powered by Twitch because I wanted a local, like in-person meetup where that was still when we were doing those, where I could meet people who even just like knew what streaming was, right? Because to your point, like people have this like one opinion of Twitch instead of realizing like all of the incredible things that it can be. And so I started that in 2018. I think that's right. Might have been 2017. Time is just super weird right now. But then we are now like officially recognized by Amazon and by Twitch as the official like stamped approval meetup for streaming enthusiasts in the area, which by the way, I think I've told you, but you're invited once all this. I'm inviting everybody that is like streamed once. I'm like, you did it. You're a streamer. Come on down.
We anoint you as streamer. Well, yes, and hopefully someday we'll actually get together with people again and have meetups. That's the day I'm looking forward to. You talked about Twitch, but there's Twitch, there's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then TikTok, which is a whole a whole thing unto itself. So what are the different platforms, and how does somebody looking at all these different platforms pick which one will work for them? Particularly because most of our audience are theater makers. So we've got theater artists and then we've got the theaters themselves.
Oh my God.
How do they look at these platforms and go, yeah, I want to be on YouTube or whatever?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest suggestions that I have when considering your platform is thinking about what your goals are, right? So, for example, if your goal is to work towards YouTube partnership one day, where should you be, right? You should be on YouTube. That's super, super clear. If you are saying to yourself, you know what? I already got Facebook figured out, easy peasy, no problem. Like, love Instagram, but I already got that figured out. No on that one. YouTube partnership. Oh, I'm already a YouTube partner because I'm super fly. Then like Twitch honestly is a really great option for you, right? Because that's like one that you can grow on. Like I personally picked Twitch because Twitch has its totally own culture to it. And I love that. I love Twitch culture. And I know theater companies that match Twitch culture really, really well, like memes, like nerdy stuff, all that. I'm like your theater company is also a good match for Twitch. And then there are some folks they're like, you know what? I am not trying to make money from this stream using the platform itself, right? So like YouTube itself will give you money. Google, but still. For Twitch, Amazon will give you money. Facebook itself is just, look, we could have that whole Mixer conversation if you know about that, but no, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking in general for most people. Most people are just never going to see money directly from Facebook. But if that's not your goal, right? You're like, I just already have an established presence on Facebook. I'm not really looking to super monetize it from the platform itself. And I just want to like hang out with my friends who already also use Facebook and might stop by and say hello. And I'm just like very casual about it. That's when I say like, honestly, you should just do Facebook. That makes so much sense for you. Just go for it. It's a really casual platform. It's perfect for it. And I mean, Instagram is also casual. And I think that like my main distinguishers for like Instagram or Facebook are honestly layout. Like, is it this way? Is it this way? My biggest question to you.
And the other thing I think maybe people who don't stream may not know, I like Instagram for a lot of things. I don't want the Instagram police to come after me, but live streaming is not something I enjoy Instagram for because it will cut you off. The vertical layout is very strange if you're going to repurpose it for other platforms like YouTube or for your website. And you have 60 minutes. And if you don't log off at 59 minutes, you are going to get cut off by Instagram.
Oh yeah, that's 100% true. And that's also just a really interesting difference with each platform as well. Cause like Instagram, you mentioned, Facebook, you can go longer. But I think Facebook has a limit at 24 hours. I think if I'm remembering correctly. YouTube, I forget how long YouTube is, but like, for example, like Twitch, keep it going. You're going to stay up for 3 days straight. Okay. I mean, you're staying up for 3 days straight. You just can't have like a dead stream going. Um, but all right, you do you. Like it can keep running that long. And it's even interesting as far as how often you're supposed to produce content. So for Twitch, it used to be like every day you were going live. Now they say that the recommendation is 3 times a week, minimum of 3 hours for each stream. So you are streaming a minimum of 9 hours a week. Then you think about like Facebook, there's no rules, right? You're just going live kind of whenever you feel. It's really not pushing it to many new people. You're just kind of using the people that have already connected with you. And then YouTube, we're just going to use like the same rule for like when you put out a video on YouTube. So that's like the recommendation is that you do 1 video a week. It's very different, right? 3 times, 3 hours a week, even just like 1 video a week or no rules. So different.
And I think it's important for the theaters and for the artists who want to embrace these platforms to really do some research. I don't think anybody should jump in without figuring out research wise which one, because like you said, Twitch is a whole culture, and if you're not fitting into that culture, then you are spinning your wheels for no reason on Twitch. So you need to really do some investigation, some research, kind of be a fly on the wall for these different streams to see what platforms are going to work for you. Because not, I mean, just because Facebook's working for me or Twitch is working for you, if somebody's super into video, we were talking about this a few days ago. If someone's super into video and that's really where their focus is, they want to make cool videos, maybe YouTube is the spot for them. So that's I think it's really important for people to do the research for sure.
Well, absolutely. And that's also why, because for the boot camp, this session will be the third time I'm teaching it. And one of the number one questions that I get asked is just, oh, like, can you just like tell me how to stream in like an hour? And my answer to that question is always no, because whenever I teach this boot camp, the first hour really truly is like, what is your platform? Let's like really dive in and think about it. And then just what are you gonna stream, right? And because us creative folks, we have so many ideas, and so we really kind of have to like narrow in our focus and be like, okay, I have all these ideas, but I'm going to start maybe with just these 2 things. And with that in mind and with my goals in mind, I think I'm going to start with just this platform. And that even gets into restreaming, which I know is a question that comes up pretty frequently, like streaming on multiple platforms all at the same time. The thing that I'll say to that, that I kind of always tell everybody is what you end up doing when you restream is you really just end up like, what you think you're doing is you're like, oh, just I'll get everybody somewhere. But you end up getting like only a few people everywhere when honestly, like no matter what platform you were on, what if you were just like, no, like you have to watch it right here though. And then people will go if they really want to see it, they'll tune in, they'll go there.
It's kind of that whole thing. If you build it, they will come. I mean, Facebook, I don't, I started with Facebook because the videos on Facebook, because I could figure it out fairly easily. I felt like I had a bigger presence on Facebook. but people come to see it. And then I can repurpose those videos for YouTube, for my website, for wherever else I want. And so maybe that's a better way. Plus, restreaming, the one time I did it, I collaborated with another artist who did it. It was a very expensive proposition to simultaneously go out on different platforms.
Yeah, and even depending upon where you are. So like I'm a Twitch affiliate, and that because like I have a contract with Twitch, I actually can't restream. There's an exclusivity clause in that. And it's not much. It's like it just has to be exclusive for like 24 hours. But still, it's like I'm trying to stay on Twitch's good side. So
Yeah. Now, I will tell you the cool thing about Twitch. We all get kind of screen drunk. So we're on Zoom all day long, streaming for work or whatever, having these Zoom meetings. The nice thing about Twitch is if you have Amazon Prime, you can actually broadcast that onto your television.
that's true. Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can do it if you have a smart TV with YouTube also, but it with Twitch, it's pretty seamless.
Yeah. I do just love watching. We're almost always lurking one of our friends on some stream or another. But just like having it up on the television is just like an absolute dream. It's great because I'm just like, oh, there they are. Oh, looks like they're having a great time. Anyway.
So when I think of streaming for most arts organizations, and a lot of the arts organizations and theaters who have called me and asked me about this, or the artists who have called me and asked me about this, they're really looking to incorporate it into their marketing plan. It's really, if you broke it down, it's part of a marketing plan. So as theaters pivot to the reality that maybe they won't be opening until sometime next year, how can and should they think about streaming as part of a marketing plan?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I certainly like I view streaming from the scope of marketing, and that's mainly just because content marketing is like I mean, we all know that. We all know it's all about content right now. So just live streaming is another form of content, right? So that's the scope that I'm seeing it through. I mean, I think there are just so many opportunities for content. And I looking at it from a marketing scope, really just the the biggest thing that I always think about is again just like making sure you're thinking about strategy, because it can just be so easy to go live every single day. Like I think about when that was like a real strategy that people were doing on Twitch, and I'm like, oh, that's unhealthy. Like that is unhealthy. Like that's bad. And there are plenty of days like for myself, just as a human person, and people that are in my streams know this, but there are just some days where and this is like for me as a person, if this was for a company, I'd persevere, but personally, like I just can't do it. I just can't do it that day because of whatever's happening in this world right now. So, and that's true with all content. Like we really have to be strategic and prioritize. And just, we have to realize that we are human people. And while marketing says that it expects us to do all of the things, we simply cannot. That is impossible, marketing. Nice try, buddy.
Absolutely. And the way I look at it with theaters particularly is I'm seeing kind of two avenues of what they're doing. So the first avenue is like what Women's Theater Festival has done, and they are doing virtual productions. So we're seeing a lot of streams of virtual productions. Some are better than others. I think, and this is my opinion, don't come after me, people. My opinion is on this that none of these platforms were built for performance. None of them were really designed so
Ooh,
that.
some thoughts.
Okay, give me your thoughts on this.
The art. So like first of all, I do want to acknowledge and like center what I feel like is your true point, which is like these were not created to produce theater in the way that we think as theater, which is 100% true, 100% right. At the same time, the thing that I always say is that streaming is by itself a performance art. You think about the fact that like your computer's on fire, your mic is muted, the camera is broken, and you're just like, hi chat, we're gonna have a great time today. Can I get some F's in chat for this stream? Thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna get you all taken care of. If I could just get some hearts in the chat telling me that everything's gonna be fine, I appreciate you. That's performance art to me. So I think one of the hugest conversations, anyway, that I'm having right now is the fact that I see like theater and virtual theater and streaming and performance art as so much the same thing. Like I see it as so similar. Now they are inherently different, right? Because one of my favorite things that's happening now in virtual theater is people embracing the fact that it's different. Because I think that people that are trying to do like theater in a Zoom call, it's just not the same thing. It's truly not. And we can't kid ourselves that it is. There is something inherently different. But I'm also a firm believer that just because it's totally something different, that can be such an adventure. Like that excites me. Like how can we turn this into something totally different? And this goes into a whole thing about like theater's distribution model and about how every other I think about the big ones that I think about are like the music industry, right? The music industry had to drastically change its distribution model when the internet came out, right? Napster, that's what I'm talking about. But theater has really never been put in that position. We held on for so long, and like props to us. But this is such a huge opportunity. We can really grow. And my hope is that after all this is over, we can have all of it. Because and this is something that I haven't really realized until all of this started, but I have participated in, I have created, I have, just all of it, more theater since March than you span like years of time. I've done more theater since March. That's crazy. And I'm that kind of person. I'm the kind of person that, I may not drive downtown to see your show. I'm like, oh my God, it's just so far. I know it's a great show. I know I should go. But if it's a show you can have rights to, right? Look, I'll watch it there. I'll give you the same amount of money. I got no problems with that, right? I'll give you the $35 or whatever it is so that I can watch that thing online and not leave my house. And especially, look, this is a whole other thing. The other thing that I love with that is when they put it on YouTube, and then I can watch it ×2. I know that it's blasphemous, but I just want it for like the meat of it. I don't want all the like pauses and detail.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think it's important for people. So I do think it's performance art in of itself. And some people are really mastering the virtual space. So I love the ones that are and really embracing it in a really creative way is amazing. I do think though theaters also need to be aware of the limitations. If you see the entire cast of Hamilton, and I'm just using this as an example, doing one big production number and they're all in sync and they all sound good and everybody's harmonizing and it's beautiful, that probably was pre-recorded and pieced together. They're not all on Zoom doing this.
Lauren, I talked to people that said that they loved that live performance. They're like, it's so incredible. They got them into the theater. They got the whole cast to show up. I was like, no, that was recorded years ago, friend.
Curate what you're watching, know what you're watching, because some of these, are not live. They look live, but they're not.
And I do think, to be fair to that, I think that part of that is an issue with like live streaming, as in like this is happening right here, right now. versus like this is live streaming on Disney Plus. Like you can get it at any time on Disney Plus.
Yeah, live is a fluid term. It's not really live streaming. Okay, so let's break it down. The other thing I see people doing is talk shows like I'm doing. They're doing kind of variety shows similar to Theater Raleigh's kind of living room live, where it's a combination of performance and talk shows. And then some are just doing performances, which is cool. What are the technical things that people need to know before jumping in, though? Because I think it's really easy as creatives to say, I'm going to produce a show and we're going to live stream it. And you get into the producing aspect of it and kind of aren't caught up on the technical aspect.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, especially with producing a show like that from a technical side, I honestly think the hardest thing isn't even something on your end, but it is the fact that, let's say that you're calling in a guest, so Lauren, like you called me in today. I need to have at least a basic understanding of like a mic and of lighting and of like my computer. Like before we started streaming, I was like, "Ooh, better plug in my little Ethernet cable. That'll give me a more secure connection." And even more so when you're dealing with like a sound that is being sung to, right, with background music and a backing track, or like you're playing accompaniment live. Um, and I will certainly say that I have been so impressed by honestly everybody that's ever called into a show, just because I feel like you have to learn so many things so quickly. But I think, if you're trying to do a show like that, you need to ask yourself, like, first of all, like, who maybe already knows this information, or what are the things that I can do to quickly and easily explain that information while also not trying to give them everything about audio engineering. Like, and that goes into like just something that I really believe, which is that in live streaming, sometimes you just kind of have to sacrifice quality. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But again, like you don't control what someone else has. I mean, look, we all know that right now, a lot of times you can't even buy a webcam right now. They are sold out everywhere. I was talking to a sweet friend. He was like, "What can I get to up my stream?" I was like, "Nothing right now, friend. It's all sold out everywhere." So we're all just working with what we have. And that even goes into another thing, which is realizing the reasons why people watch your streams. I'm going to get this wrong, but people watch your streams because of they want to have like a relationship with you, whether that's like affinity, not doesn't have to be romantic, but they want like a relationship with you. They want to be entertained by you. They want to be informed by you, motivated by you, and I'm forgetting one of them. But notice how none of those things, even the one that I'm forgetting about right now, none of those things are that like you had a professional stream. Now, obviously, having a professional stream helps, right? Like if it's just like a total mess, then they're not going to be entertained, right? But like nobody tunes in to be professional by you. It's fine.
It, it's absolutely true. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist,
I am.
a little bit of a control freak. I know you know that because of our marketing, but and so I love podcasting because when I do an audio podcast, I can edit it and make it sound exactly how I want it to sound and take out background noises. When you're live on Zoom, I mean, the one thing I have learned with this medium is it is not a perfect science. I have been kicked off Facebook in the middle of a Zoom chat. I have been muted. I've had my guests not know how to turn on their mics or turn off their mics or turn on their cameras. So it, I'm embracing the imperfection of the platform, I suppose.
The joke I always make is one click and this whole thing goes down. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, that is like what it is for me. I just think that that is super true.
It absolutely is true. And I don't think that those are the pieces of it that when people see us just chatting like this and it looks pretty seamless and easy, there's a lot of other stuff. Like you said, one click and we're down, we're off the air.
Oh yeah, and it happens to me. It's happened to me in like just tons of like when I've been producing virtual theater. And somebody says like, "Oh, like why was that a missed cue?" And I'm just like, "Oh, oopsie. That's what it was. It was a oh no."
Yep.
And I also usually when I'm in my open broadcasting software, I usually show people and I'm like, "Look, if I did this, boop, we'd be live right now. We'd be up. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm just telling you. I've done
So
it before. I've been accidentally streaming and I'm like, and I've had people watching and I'm like, oh hi chat. I'm like a goblin. Sorry, chat. Hi.
yes. Yes. Sometimes I'll be testing something in the middle of the night because I'll need to go online and I don't want people to actually see me. And it's amazing how many people are actually online at 1 o'clock in the morning and they see you anyway. So yeah. Let me ask you this. What so when people are thinking about live streaming, what is the bare minimum equipment that they're going to need? I mean, nobody has a lot of money right now to invest in this, but what do they need to start if they're thinking about doing this?
Yeah, I know that this is going to be a pretty unpopular opinion, but the joke that I always make is that honestly, the bare minimum that you need is a cell phone, right? So you can go live on Twitch, on Facebook Live, on Instagram Live. You can't do YouTube because they have a limit on that, but every other one. And then even on if you want to use a computer, right? There are some like bare minimum computer requirements. You just have to have like a decent. I call this little one a potato though, and she does okay. So, and like you can use like your on camera. You like your on computer webcam and your like on computer microphone. But the more important thing that I always tell people is honestly to just start doing it because I've met people before that they're like, okay, I'm doing it. Like I'm buying a whole bunch of stuff. And then they start streaming and they're like, wow, I hate it. I hate it. And so I tell people, you know what? Go live, talk for like 3 hours, right? Like do the Twitch thing where you're live on here for 3 hours, just like talking. Make sure you do some prep work before for sure, but still do that before you buy anything and you'll learn real quick. Do you think you could do this or do you not? When my first stream, I like blurted through all my talking points like 15 minutes in, but I was like, you can get better though. I didn't hate it. And that was like the indicator for me.
Well, and it's not going to be perfect right out of the box either. So I think you have to give yourself a little grace when it comes to that too. Um, let's talk about lighting. I have my little light over here with the umbrella. Anybody who has gone on a Zoom call with me where I'm not broadcasting and I don't have the pretty background and I'm sitting at my desk in my chair, everybody comments about the umbrella light behind me. So talk about lighting because that's my pet peeve if I can't see somebody.
I mean, the most important thing is just having a light right in front of you. So, oh my gosh, I wish I could show you because I always make this joke, but I make the joke where like I put the light right behind my head and then you have the camera and you can't, there's nothing going on up here. You can't even make out the face at all. You're just like a silhouette. And I mean, I personally always prefer natural light. I think nothing, I mean, actually your setup does replicate it pretty well, but just like, I'm a big natural light fan and everything and photography, everything. I love natural light. But like, I mean, when I like got to a decent point, like I used my overheads for a long time. I used like a desk lamp and I would just like let it blast on my face to get something there. I at one point I made my own ring light. So I like took like a wreath thing. I used like one of those like rope lights and I just like boop a doop a doo all the way around. And then I would just stick it in front of me. Like, that's it. That's my ring light. Now I have a real ring light and it is so much better. It is incredible. And usually when I'm streaming for real, I have like a green screen behind me. I have the ring light and then I do pop on my overheads just for like a little bit of fill, just because I can look a little ghost a little bit. Ideally, I'd have a fill light, but where is that going to go? I have a very small setup. My setup is like cramped.
Yeah. Yeah. None of these setups are giant.
Yeah.
And I was kind of teasing. I mean, now the whole room is white, but for a few days, everyone, this little corner was white and the rest of the studio is yellow. And my son walked in and said, "Oh, you're a YouTuber now. You painted your one wall white and then the rest of the room looks like a hot mess." So now the whole room is white. But yeah, I think thinking about backgrounds, thinking about lighting, microphones, it's interesting. Although in podcasting, the mic is the most important thing, it becomes not as important in this because everybody has mics on their, device. So
Yeah. I mean, I do still like the comment that I can take a bad camera or no camera, like it's like what depending upon what you're doing. I cannot take a bad mic. I mean, I have done it myself before where chat has been like, "Mikki, ow." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, chat. You just leave. Take care of yourself. I gotta figure out why this sound is so bad." Anyway.
so so lighting, maybe a microphone, a computer or device. I will say it is more difficult to stream if you're just using Zoom platform on your device and run all the controls. If you're hosting a meeting on Zoom, you're trying to do it on your iPad or your phone.
Yeah.
It's not a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much should people be prepared to spend on live streaming if they're coming up? I know a lot of people's fiscal year started July 1st. Maybe people are thinking about budget and budget planning. How much budget should they devote to?
I mean, in my opinion, I think the biggest thing that you should budget is time, both for yourself for learning to stream and anyone that you might bring on to help you with streaming, because it is a process. Oh my God. I mean, that's honestly it for me. Like, look, if you don't say that you don't buy a thing, right? Say you don't buy a thing, budget some time, budget some money for human time. That's what I think you should do.
And whatever you budget for time, double it because it's going to take twice or as long as you think it is.
Yes, 100%. Oh, going back to equipment really fast, because I know we didn't talk about like an open broadcasting software.
Yes.
Yeah, but just keeping in mind an open broadcasting software, and that might be something that you want to budget for. StreamYard is like a popular one that people are using that you do have to pay for. I'm going to be honest, I do not personally like StreamYard, only because first of all, I know it costs money, and I'm like, oh, that's funny because every other option is free, basically. There's like a couple other paid options, but tons of free options that work just as fine, if not better than StreamYard, depending upon what you're using it for. And then also it's one of those things where your stream is happening and I can tell that you're using StreamYard, and that bothers me. Does that make sense? It's kind of like when you just know that somebody's using that program. Like I see that like split screen and I'm like, God, you are using StreamYard. I see you over there. And there's really nothing wrong with it. It works better for some people, right? Some people are like, that's just what I want to use. But just the reminder that I would give people is, if you don't want to spend the money on it, that's totally fine. There are plenty of other open broadcasting softwares that are free.
So let's kind of break this down for people, because this is where I think it gets super confusing. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, I don't know. Those things, those are platforms.
Mm-hmm.
StreamYard, Zoom, OBS. What?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
StreamYard, Zoom, OBS, I guess WebEx. People are using the Cisco WebEx if you watch Jimmy, right? Those are something else. That's a different thing.
Yeah, so these are actually still separate things. So like Zoom, WebEx, Google Meet are just like conferencing video chat softwares, right? Like that is their main goal. Whereas StreamYard and OBS Studio and Streamlabs OBS or Slobs, and then like XSplit are all open broadcasting softwares. So, and there is some crossover because, for example, like StreamYard actually has the ability for people to just call in directly to the StreamYard. So, for example, right, like StreamYard has a little bit of that like virtual meeting functionality. And then, Lauren, like, I know that like what you're doing is you're taking Zoom directly and you're streaming it straight in to Facebook. So it does have like a little bit of that like functionality, but they are still like different softwares, like the intention is different. So the thing that I usually say about an open broadcasting software is first that you like don't have to use it, right? Because obviously, Lauren, like this is totally fine. What you're doing is just fine. But if you wanted to have like a big banner at the bottom that says RDU on stage, if you wanted to say, you know what, folks, thanks so much. We're going to flip to commercial and be right back. And then you like click on the next scene and it plays a whole bunch of commercials. If you wanted to have like a starting soon screen, be right back screen, and then an ending soon screen, which is always my recommendations for other scene options, to have really any of those things. Music that just plays in the background under your stream. All of that is done through an open broadcasting software. So it's really just first of all, what an open broadcasting software is just that. It lets you openly broadcast on the internet, right? It seems pretty straightforward. And really all it does is take your streams to the next level. But it's not a requirement. So it really comes down again to that like personal preference. What are your goals? All that.
Well, and a lot of times, so Stars in the House, because they're huge. Seth Rudetsky, if you're a theater person and you've watched Stars in the House, they are using, or at least they used to use StreamYard. I don't know, maybe they're fancier now that they've grown so big.
I didn't watch like the most recent, but I checked recently and I saw that they were still using StreamYard, which like the big thing about StreamYard is like it's really easy to get started, which is a benefit. One thing that I hate about it is that it limits how many people can call in.
And when you say call in, we're not talking about calling in like a radio show where you can call me and say, okay, I have a question for Mikki. It's calling in. Mikki called in to, this is what calling in is.
I'm calling in and being here in person. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Thank you. Because, I think we use these terms, but not everybody knows what these terms mean. So StreamYard, WebEx, well, not even WebEx, StreamYard, that's OBS software or OBS, and OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, Open Broadcast Software.
OBS Studio. So like Open Broadcasting Software Studio, but everybody just calls it OBS Studio. If you're talking about like that program.
And that program is freeware. Can't you download that?
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah. So you can actually download OBS, and there's definitely a learning curve. You're not going to just turn it on and download it and be an expert at it. But if you want to have some of these fancier bells and whistles, that's how a lot of companies are doing it, right?
Yes, exactly. But definitely yes to a learning curve. It like definitely takes place like a whole other almost like piece of your brain, even to understand. So like this is how it is in Streamlabs OBS and in OBS Studio, where you have scenes and you have sources. So like your scene is like your be right back screen, or like this might be like your interviews like scene, right? But then in each individual scene, you have sources. So like your source might be this call or a banner at the bottom of the screen that says RDU on stage. But even just like kind of taking your brain and being like, okay, like this is the source that goes in this scene, but it also needs to go in that scene. Yeah, it gets to be a lot.
And for if you're just a one man operation, now you're talking about a lot of tech stuff that you may need to have a producer for. One of the reasons I do the Zoom Facebook stream is because I'm one person. I don't have a producer in the background kind of making it all work. So I needed to come up with something that was easy for me to handle tech wise. But once you get into OBS, it's a whole different. I feel like you're going to need multiple people.
Yeah.
At least another person.
My opinion on that has like so changed even since March because from in streaming world, like when you're talking about Twitch streaming, there is such a mindset of like you are a one person show and that's just how it is. You are the entertainer, you are the host, you are also the house manager, right? Welcoming people in. You're the performer, you're also the moderator. When somebody says something mean in that chat, you're like, don't you talk mean to me. Ban them. Yeah. And you're also handling all of your own tech. But one of the things that I really, and also with that, there has been an idea in streaming gaming world that you simply need to learn yourself how to do it. And the things that I've been realizing since March are one, everybody learns things different ways. So like some people benefit from learning something in a class format versus being like pushed to the wolves and you got to learn it yourself. And then also the other thing that I've learned is that, you know, Mikki, yes, like you're fine just sitting down and just doing it and whatever. But some people really do just need to be able to focus on the show. And that's all they have to worry about. So being able to run a stream for someone else has become a viable plan. Like, just like, I just remember months ago, I was like, nah, you just got to figure out how to do it. And now I'm like, look, like, I mean, you got to give me something because it's a lot of time, but yeah, sure, I could do that.
Well, and I think when it comes to budget, if you're not going to be able to learn it yourself or handle it yourself, you do have to budget in some money for somebody to help you, a tech person like you. If if you hire, I know there's kids, lots of people out of work right now. You just need to prepare to pay for that service because it is very time consuming.
Yes, it is.
So what are the biggest mistakes that you've seen when it comes to live streaming?
Oh my gosh, that's such a loaded question. I think because there's just so many things, but I think the thing that I'm going to go with um, is just keeping in mind that like streaming is performance art and that it's different from every other art form. Because I have seen so many people who, and this happens with like YouTubers that we watch that are like super great speakers, and then I see them on Twitch, and I'm like, oh, you hot mess. And I've seen like people that I really really respect, and I know that they're great at public speaking, and then they pop on a stream and they're like, "How about you just give me some money?" And I'm like, "What? You would never say that in person." But there's just something. I think that one of the hardest things for some people to get around is the fact that there is no energy in the room and that you can't um, like build off anybody. I mean, I'm pretty okay with that. I'm used to people not laughing at my jokes, so it doesn't bother me a bit. But a lot of other people really need and feed off of that energy. And so then when they don't have it, they do something that they would never do usually. And I know that, but that is maybe like the one that I would say is the biggest. Because when I see it happen, I'm just like, oh no, you wouldn't do that. Why?
What are, it's kind of funny. I was crunching numbers. I'm a data person, so I like to crunch numbers. And so we have done, this is our 155th live stream since March, because we're crazy.
That makes me ill.
It makes me ill too, thinking about it. Because it's a lot of hours in front of the screen. But I kind of laugh because the very first one, 12 people tuned in. And I was like, ooh, that's really cool. 12 people watched me today. And now a few more watch these, but it's taken a while to build up an audience. So I feel like people have to have realistic expectations, because the number one question I get asked after I do these live streams is, how many people watched? How many views did you have? Because that seems to be how we quantify success online. So, what are realistic expectations when it comes to live streaming, assuming we're not all the Holderness family that's going to get millions of views?
I always say that if you are getting 3 people watching you, you fire, you're killing it, you're crushing it. Um, I mean, I think one of the things that that we really that some folks who are new to streaming, who are still getting used to it and really bogged down by those numbers, is that we forget that this is a human person who has sat down with us for an hour. They're never gonna get that hour back. What you doing here for an hour? Ah, God. See, even just like thinking about that, like we're just talking, Lauren. We're just hanging out right now. And look, if you in this chat right now, thank you for being here for an hour. I appreciate you. I hope you're getting dinner or something. But right, like that's crazy, incredible. So for me, like, and also like the 3 also comes from Twitch affiliate ship. So once you get like, it's like 3 viewers over 8 hours over like 7 days, over a 30-day period, you averaged at least 3 viewers, then you can be a Twitch affiliate. And that sounds like an easy goal. Let me tell you, it is not. Your friends, it's just like theater, y'all. Your friends say that they're going to come see it. Then you never see them in that audience. You never see them. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And I don't blame anyone for it. There's so much happening in this world right now. There's so many things still vying for our attention. But I meet so many people that they're like, well, I don't understand why I don't have 50. And I'm like, I mean, I didn't see 10 people at your 1-person show, dude. Just like, I love you. I love you so much. But like, yeah. So like 3 is phenomenal. That's my point. I'm here to say, if you have more than 3, you're crushing it.
I love that. I love that. Do you think that, so this is really interesting, and I've been asking this question a lot lately because I keep getting different answers. But do you think that streaming virtual performances is ultimately going to help or hurt the theaters?
Oh, well, that's a very interesting way to word that question. I mean, I'm like having this moment of like, how could it possibly hurt? But also I recognize that that is 100% skewed by my passion of streaming. I think that there are
hurt the theaters. I mean, are people going to still buy a ticket to go see something live? If I can tune into the National Theater and I can watch,
I got thoughts on this.
All right. So yes, I mean, you know where I'm going with this.
Go.
We're like at the same mind. So you take it from here, Mikki. You know where this is.
Things that I've been extremely passionate about, that I really, really want to start doing like myself, is I want to like collaborate with in-person events to add a virtual live streaming element. That's something I wanted to do before all of this happened. I wanted to like go to Out Raleigh and like collaborate with them and like visit people, visit vendors that are there and talk to them, just like for any event, right? For any event that's happening. But the argument that people make, especially for like ticketed events, so I'm thinking like the Bluegrass Festival, for example, is ticketed, just like anything like that, the argument that you can make is exactly that. Well, then why would people come in person? Because seeing it at home isn't as good as being in that room. And I know that, right? Like I know when I'm watching something online, I'm like, man, I mean, it's even like Hamilton. So I'm going to be one of those people right now. But like I saw Hamilton in person. And so when I saw it on Disney Plus, of course, I mean, amazing. And of course, a great thing for accessibility. But the number one question that I asked myself is, does this take away from the in-person experience? No, not at all. It is just as incredible seeing it in person. And of course, it is only more accessible by allowing for people to watch it in their homes, for people to watch it in their homes with captioning. Ooh, don't get me started on that piece of it. But yes, so like I really don't think that it's going to hurt in-person events at all. I know that like some theaters have talked about, or like some like concerts, like comedians, that kind of thing, they don't let people use their phones because they worry about people live streaming it. You know what I say? I'm like, honestly, let them do it. Let them go for it, because again, your friend wasn't here. Don't you wish you were here? You do. You do wish you were there.
Well, and not only that, but look at shows like Six. So Six in London encouraged people. I know this is like mind blowing. They encouraged people to take out their phones and videotape part of the performance, which caused more people to want to see it.
Yes. Oh,
That show is a success because of how they have used the internet and the web and live streaming, I think.
yes. I mean, admittedly, I'm about to. I wish I could remember the YouTuber's name. There is a YouTuber that I super love. I might tell you later so you can put it maybe in a comment or something. But she did a video, admittedly, about people that just film Broadway performances.
Mm.
And of course, lots of different takes and topics on this. She does a really, really good job of explaining all the angles. But one of the angles that she explores is the fact that Gen Z, who look like Gen Z, like a lot of them are not popping up to New York, right? Like they don't have the money for that. So how did shows like Be More Chill and oh my gosh, Thunder Thief, Lightning Thief.
Lightning thief. Thunder thief. The lightning thief.
How did those shows get popular? Look, I'm going to tell you right now, it's because Gen Z saw bootlegs on the internet and they were like, love it. Bring it to Broadway, please. That's how that happened. I'm not here to say whether it's right or wrong. It's just how it happens.
Well, and I think figuring out um, somebody, and I was talking to an artist last night about this idea of a concept album and putting out music videos for a show that you're trying to get produced. And I'm a big believer in that. I mean, Michael in the Bathroom was a YouTube video that went viral and it sent Be More Chill on a trajectory that I think changed the way Broadway markets itself.
Yes, I guess.
So if you don't know the story of Be More Chill, read that story, read up on it, and see the journey to Broadway because it's a really interesting one and it's all about social media.
Yeah, it's incredible. Anyway.
And I will put a plug for the podcast. The person behind the social media presence for The Lightning Thief on Broadway, her name is Ashley Latimer, and she's an amazing human being who I had the chance to meet prior to COVID. And the Lightning Thief fandom calls her Mixed Thief. And so I do have an interview with her coming up on the podcast. So subscribe to the podcast so you can hear that interview.
Gosh, listen to that. I'm obsessed with that.
But how these guys are tapping into the social media market to market shows is brilliant. It's a brilliant study of marketing.
It is.
Anyway, all right. So tell me about your boot camp class and why everyone should take it. And everyone who's watching right now, if you call me and you ask me about live streaming, I'm going to have a little sign that I hold up and I'm going to say, call Mikki. This is my new thing. Call Mikki. So tell me about your boot camp class.
Yeah, so I'm now doing a streaming for artist boot camp. This will be the third like session for this class. The first two I offered with Triangle Artworks in partnership with them, and I could only take on 10 students, and it was done completely live. So the thing that and those sold out, like they sold out, and people could not get in. The thing that I really realized from that experience was that I really wanted to be able to help more people. This is the third iteration. I'm doing it all by myself without the backer of a bigger company. We've already met our minimum number of students that I was hoping for, which is incredible. Like, I'll take it. And the really great thing about this class, first of all, it will teach you how to stream in a month. So it'll be a nice long period. You'll have plenty of time, because what always happens is we get into OBS and you are so stressed and overwhelmed. But instead of having like a day or 2 days to think about it, you'll have a full week, and it'll be fine. So they're all pre-recorded videos, which means you can refer back to them at any time. If you don't remember what I said 2 weeks ago, totally fine. Just go back to it. It also has a community element. So we have Discord, which is similar to Slack, if you've used that before, like an instant messaging service that all of us are in. And you can ask questions, or you can like talk about your homework in there. We're going to have like homework parties so that we can just like come together as a group and talk about our streams and feel excited about the process and about learning from each other. And the thing that I'm really excited about for the boot camp is that because they're all pre-recorded sessions, and every like 6 weeks or so, I'm going to take a new set of students. But that means because they're pre-recorded, I can just keep building on it. So we can just like next time we can add alerts. The time after that, we could do streaming to Vimeo, which is a huge, that is something else. Let me tell you, I streamed to Vimeo recently. I was like, wow, I learned a lot. But we can just keep building on it so that it can have everything you possibly need. And once you're in, you're in. Like, I'm not gonna keep like nickel and diming you. It's totally fine. I want to keep building the community of streamers, and I want those streamers to be artists, because those are my people. And you need this information. You need it right now. Also, if this applies to you, there's also a scholarship. It's totally like it's on the sign up form. You'll see a link to a scholarship, because I want people from all backgrounds to be able to experience this. Times are tough.
I love that. And we will put, I will put, when I repost this video later, because if you tuned in late, these videos live on my Facebook page forever. And it'll also be downloaded to my website in a couple of days, but I'll put all the links to your website and to the boot camp so people can find you. Because I love that you're doing this for artists.
Yeah, I love it too.
So, thank you so much. I love your passion for live streaming. It makes me not want to hate it as much. It makes me want to embrace the live streaming. Miss you. I miss seeing you at Theater Raleigh. I miss seeing you at shows and at plays. So I can't wait till we can safely gather in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been so lovely. Please follow Mikki. Do you want to give your social media handles so people know where to find you?
Yeah. Instagram, it's at Mikki Marvel. Twitter, it's at Mikki_marvelous. Oh, and the most important one, you know this is coming. I stream Fridays and Sundays in the evening at twitch.tv/Mikki Marvel. That's MIKKIMARVEL. Okay.
Love it. All right. Well, good. Well, we will be tuning in on Fridays. Thank you so much, Mikki. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We had more than 3 people, so I think we crushed it.
Also, because this is evergreen, so you're going to get way more than just this live stream. So we're awesome.
Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I will be putting out next week's schedule, hopefully this weekend, so that you guys know what's coming up. And I also want to say that We will start having podcasts again weekly. So tune into the RDU on Stage podcast, which drops on Apple, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are heard. You can start seeing those regularly on Sundays. So thank you so much. And I will see you soon. Take care.
Ah!
Good night, everyone.